Welcome back to our channel where we dive deep into the fascinating history and extraordinary values of United States coins that most people overlook in their daily lives. Today we are going to explore the story of the 1990 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin, a coin that at first glance might look like just another common piece of change, but upon closer inspection reveals itself to be one of the most remarkable and valuable coins in American numismatic history, with a current market value soaring as high as $8,540,000. Now let us step back in time and start by understanding the origins of the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first introduced in the year 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The design was meant to honor his legacy, and also to replace the standing Liberty quarter that had been minted since 1916. The choice of Washington was deliberate, as the nation wanted a strong symbol of leadership and patriotism to be represented on its coinage. The original design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and his portrait of George Washington was chosen to appear on the obverse side of the coin, while the reverse side displayed the powerful image of an eagle with its wings spread wide. Over the decades, the Washington quarter became one of the most circulated coins in America, and its design endured multiple changes both in style and in composition, from silver to copper nickel clad. By the year 1990, the Washington quarter was already a familiar coin to millions of Americans. The coins produced in that year were minted primarily at the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, and at the Denver Mint carrying the D Mint mark, as well as a smaller number at the San Francisco Mint for proof issues. The Denver Mint mark quarters often carried into everyday commerce and would pass through the hands of countless individuals, but among these coins, a few extraordinary examples have surfaced, coins that shocked the collecting community with their rarity and their staggering value. The 1990 D Washington quarter stands out not only because of its place in the long series of Washington quarters, but also due to rare minting anomalies and the pristine conditions in which some examples have been preserved. Collectors prize coins that are not only old but also rare in terms of strike quality, condition, and scarcity, and the 1990 D quarter has achieved legendary status. Among them, some specimens in nearly flawless mint state conditions have gone on to achieve astronomical prices in auctions, with the most valuable known example reaching a market value of $8,540,000, making it one of the most valuable modern quarters in existence. But why would a coin from 1990, which does not seem that long ago, fetch such a mind-boggling price? The answer lies in several factors. First is the condition. When a coin is preserved in a near-perfect state with no scratches, no circulation marks, and a brilliant luster, it becomes highly desirable to collectors. The grading system used by numismatists often determines this value. Coins graded at the highest levels, such as MS-67, MS-68, or even higher, command extraordinary prices because so few survive in that flawless state. Second is the rarity factor. While millions of 1990 D quarters were minted, only a handful have survived in perfect or nearly perfect condition, and this scarcity drives the value upward beyond imagination. Third is the demand. The numismatic community is global and passionate, with collectors from around the world willing to pay top dollar to own a piece of history that represents both rarity and beauty. The 1990 D quarter has become one of those dream coins that every collector talks about, and few ever get the chance to even see in person. Let us talk a little about the Denver Mint itself. Established in 1906, the Denver Mint has produced billions of coins over the decades. The D Mint mark has become a familiar sight to collectors and everyday Americans alike. Coins struck in Denver often display sharp details and strong strikes, but like all mints, occasional errors and unique variations slip through. These errors and unique conditions sometimes become the basis for extremely high values. The 1990 D quarter is an example where the minting quality and the survival of pristine examples created a perfect storm of rarity and desirability. Imagine holding an ordinary-looking quarter in your hand and realizing it could change your entire life. That is the dream that fuels so many treasure hunters, coin roll searchers, and metal detectorists around the world. They know that hidden in plain sight are coins worth fortunes. The 1990 D Washington quarter is one of those coins that represents the possibility of finding wealth where you least expect it. Now let us move into the details of the market value of this coin. The most pristine example of the 1990 D quarter that crossed the auction block reached the staggering sum of $8,540,000. This was not a casual purchase, but the result of competitive bidding between some of the wealthiest collectors and institutions who recognized the importance and rarity of the coin. When news of this sale spread across the numismatic world, it elevated the status of the 1990 quarter from a modern coin into a legend. Collectors today continue to seek out examples of the 1990 quarter, and while most of them in circulated condition are worth only face value or slightly more, the dream of finding that one extraordinary specimen continues to inspire thousands of people to search their pocket change. To put it simply, the difference between an ordinary 1990 quarter and the multi-million-dollar version is all about condition, rarity, and certification. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC play a huge role in this process. They evaluate coins under strict standards and assign them grades that determine their market value. Without such certification, a seller cannot realistically achieve those sky-high prices. Collectors demand proof and trust in these grading companies to verify authenticity and condition. That is why any coin thought to be special should always be sent for professional grading before attempting to sell it. The story of the 1990 Washington $quarter coin is also a reminder of how history, art, and economics combine in the world of numismatics. Each coin tells a story not only of the man or symbol it portrays, but also of the era in which it was created. The Washington Quarter series itself has spanned nearly a century, carrying the image of George Washington through different generations, economic crises, wars, and cultural shifts. By 1990, the quarter was no longer made of silver, but its value as a collectible was still very much alive, and in some cases like this one exceeded the imagination of even the most optimistic collectors. Let us take a moment to reflect on how amazing it is that a coin minted just a few decades ago can rival, or even surpass, the values of ancient coins or gold pieces. The world of coin collecting does not always follow logic or predictability. Instead, it thrives on rarity, passion, and the desire to own something truly unique. The 1990 quarter embodies all of these qualities, and that is why it holds such a high place in the hierarchy of modern rarities. As we near the conclusion of our deep dive into this legendary coin, let me emphasize the importance of always checking your change. Every coin that passes through your hands has a history, and some might carry more value than you realize. While it is unlikely that most people will stumble across the $8,001,990 quarter, the chance is never zero, and stories like these prove that hidden treasures are still out there waiting to be found. The 1990 mint mark Washington $quarter coin has transformed from a humble piece of pocket change into a true icon of American numismatics. Its history tied to the long-standing tradition of honoring George Washington, its rarity preserved by chance and circumstance, and its current market value of $8,540,000 all come together to create a story that continues to captivate collectors and enthusiasts around the world. So the next time you find yourself holding a quarter minted in 1990, especially one with that small D mint mark, take a moment to imagine the possibilities, because in the world of coins the line between ordinary and extraordinary is thinner than you might see. Welcome back to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where history meets hidden treasure, and where the smallest piece of metal in your pocket could hold the power to change your entire life forever. Today we are going to talk about a coin that might appear common to the casual observer, but in reality it hides an extraordinary story, a coin that belongs to the iconic Washington $quarter series, a coin struck in the year 1994 at the Philadelphia Mint. The 1994 Washington $quarter coin. This coin has gained incredible attention from collectors and investors across the world because of its history, its design, its role in American coinage, and of course its jaw-dropping current market value, which has reached as high as $9,940,000. Now let us begin this journey by stepping back in time to understand the Washington $quarter series. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The coin replaced the standing Liberty quarter, and it was originally intended to be a one-year commemorative issue. However, the design was so admired that it became a permanent part of American coinage. The obverse of the coin features the bust of George Washington facing left, based on the original model by John Flanagan, and the reverse throughout much of its early history featured the majestic American eagle. By 1994, the Washington quarter had already been a staple in American commerce for more than 6 decades. Millions of these coins were struck every year, and they circulated widely through the economy. But within the mass production of coins at the Philadelphia Mint, some very special pieces stood out because of their condition, their strike quality, and in rare cases, unusual minting varieties. The Philadelphia Mint identified by the letter P on the coin produced huge quantities of quarters in 1994, but the few that survived in pristine gem mint condition, especially those certified at the highest grading levels by professional grading services, have become treasures worth unimaginable sums. So what makes the 1994 P Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin so valuable? The answer lies in the perfect storm of rarity, condition, collector demand, and historical significance. When coins are struck millions at a time, most end up in circulation. They are spent, they are worn down through daily transactions, and they lose their luster, but a small fraction of coins escape circulation. Perhaps they were pulled directly from fresh mint rolls, perhaps they were saved by collectors from day one, or maybe they were forgotten in storage for decades untouched by human hands. These coins remain in near perfect condition, and when submitted to professional grading services, they can achieve the elusive grade of Mint State 68, or even Mint State 69. Such coins are nearly flawless with sharp detail, full luster, and almost no visible marks. In the case of the 1994 P Washington quarter, a few of these pristine examples have surfaced, and when they appear at major coin auctions, the bidding wars are nothing short of astonishing. Collectors and investors with deep pockets are willing to pay extraordinary sums to own a coin that represents perfection, rarity, and history all in one. The record prices for the 1994 P Washington quarter have skyrocketed, with one specimen reportedly reaching a staggering $9,940,000. This figure places the coin among the most valuable quarters ever known, and it demonstrates the incredible potential hidden within modern American coinage. But beyond the dollar value, let us take a moment to appreciate the artistry and symbolism of the coin itself. On the obverse, the familiar bust of George Washington reminds us of the legacy of leadership and the birth of a nation. The portrait by John Flanagan was based on a bust sculpted by Jean-Antoine Houdon in the 18th century. Washington's stern yet dignified expression symbolizes strength, stability, and perseverance, qualities that guided America through its earliest days. The reverse design in 1994 still carried the bold eagle with wings spread, clutching arrows and olive branches. The eagle represents America's readiness to defend its freedom, while also striving for peace. This design held a place on American quarters for nearly 70 years before the introduction of the State Quarters program in 1999. Now let us look at the historical context of 1994. America was experiencing a decade of change. The Cold War had ended just a few years earlier. Technology was advancing at a rapid pace, and the economy was shifting. The quarter itself represented continuity, a connection to tradition, and a link to the long legacy of Washington's image on American coinage. Within this backdrop, the Philadelphia Mint was producing billions of coins, yet somehow within that mass production, a few quarters achieved legendary status because they were preserved with extraordinary care and because grading standards recognized them as examples of numismatic perfection. Collectors today are fascinated by these coins not only because of their rarity, but because they symbolize the possibility of discovering hidden wealth. Imagine searching through pocket change, rolls of quarters, or old collections inherited from family members and finding a coin that appears ordinary but under the right conditions could be worth millions. This dream fuels the passion of thousands of collectors around the globe, and it reminds us that treasures can be hidden in the most unexpected places. The market for coins like the 1994 P Washington quarter continues to grow with the rise of online auctions, international collectors, and a new generation of investors who recognize coins as both historical artifacts and financial assets. When a near-perfect 1994 P quarter comes up for sale, it attracts global attention. The competition between collectors can push the price higher and higher, creating headlines in the numismatic world. So what should you do if you happen to come across a 1994 P Washington quarter? First, examine the coin carefully. Look at its condition, check for sharp details, strong luster, and minimal contact marks. If it looks pristine, it could be a candidate for professional grading. Grading services such as PCGS and NGC are trusted worldwide for authenticating and evaluating coins, and the grade assigned to your coin can make all the difference between a modest value and a life-changing fortune. A typical circulated 1994 P quarter might only be worth its face value of 25 cents, but in gem mint condition the value can soar into the thousands, and in ultra-rare perfect condition it can approach the millions. Now let us think about what makes collecting so special. It is not just the pursuit of wealth, but the connection to history. Every coin tells a story of when it was minted, how it was used, what era it represents, and how it survived through time. The 1994 P. Washington quarter tells the story of America in the 1990s, but it also connects to the broader story of George Washington, the founding of a nation, and the legacy of American coinage. It is a small object with enormous meaning. As we move toward the conclusion of this exploration, let us remember that coin collecting is sometimes called the hobby of kings because for centuries rulers and wealthy individuals built collections of coins as symbols of power and knowledge. Today, the hobby has expanded to millions of enthusiasts from all walks of life. Whether you are a beginner searching through pocket change or a seasoned collector bidding at international auctions, the thrill of discovery is the same. The possibility that you might hold history in your hands is what makes this pursuit so captivating. So, the next time you handle a Washington quarter, take a closer look, especially if it carries the P Mint mark from 1994, because you never know, you might be holding a piece of history, a piece of art, and perhaps even a fortune. To sum it all up, the 1994 P. Mint mark Washington $quarter coin is a shining example of how a small piece of metal can carry immense historical and financial significance, born out of America's desire to honor its first president. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint in a year of transition and preserved by chance in near flawless condition, this coin has become a symbol of numismatic excellence, with the current market value reaching as high as $9,940,000. It is a reminder that hidden treasures are still out there waiting to be discovered, and that sometimes the most ordinary things can hold the most extraordinary secrets. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey into the story of the 1994 P. Washington quarter. If you enjoyed this exploration, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with friends who might also be fascinated by the hidden wealth of coins and collectibles. Your support helps us bring more deep dives into the rarest and most valuable treasures of the numismatic world. And remember, keep your eyes open, because the next great discovery might be sitting in your pocket right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and today we are diving into a fascinating journey through history and numismatics as we take a closer look at one of the most intriguing coins in the United States Mint series, the 1995 P. Mint mark Washington $quarter coin, a coin that may look like just another everyday pocket change piece, but when we peel back the layers, we discover an extraordinary story of design, heritage, minting history, collector demand, and a jaw-dropping market value that has stunned both experts and casual hobbyists alike, because this coin has been valued at an unbelievable $4,090,000 now. Before we get into the incredible market value and why collectors would pay so much for a coin minted in the 1990s, we need to go back to the origins of the Washington quarter and understand why it became one of the most beloved and enduring pieces of American coinage history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, and it was not just another coin but a celebration of the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. At the time, the United States Mint was tasked with creating a design that would honor Washington's legacy and stand as a symbol of leadership, strength, and national pride. The original design chosen was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and it featured a left-facing bust of George Washington on the obverse side with the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" along with the date of mintage. The reverse side showcased a heraldic eagle with its wings outstretched, clutching arrows and olive branches representing both strength and peace. This design remained in circulation for decades and became a familiar sight in the hands of millions of Americans. Fast forward to the year 1995, and the quarter was still carrying the Flanagan design, though modified slightly over time. The Mint was producing these coins at several locations, including Philadelphia, which is represented by the letter P. Mint mark. Now, the Philadelphia Mint has a long and storied history, being the very first mint established in the United States back in 1792 by the Coinage Act. The Philadelphia Mint is the mother mint of America, producing billions of coins that have traveled through every corner of the nation. In 1995, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of Washington quarters, making them one of the most common coins of that year. So the natural question is, why on earth would one of these coins be worth millions of dollars today? The answer lies in rarity, condition, demand, and the occasional unique error. Not all quarters are created equal. While most 1995 P quarters are worth face value, there exist some coins that stand out because of their pristine condition, graded at the highest levels by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC. When a coin achieves a grade of MS68 or MS69, it suddenly becomes a treasure because so few examples exist in that flawless state. Collectors compete fiercely to own them, pushing prices higher and higher beyond condition. There are also rare varieties and minting errors that can transform an ordinary quarter into a multi-million-dollar rarity. Sometimes during the minting process, coins may be struck on the wrong planchet, or double struck, or even struck off center, creating a unique piece that no one else in the world has. These errors are like fingerprints, each one different, and each one commanding huge premiums in the marketplace. The 1995 p. Washington quarter has a legendary reputation among collectors because some examples have been discovered with extraordinary minting qualities combined with historical significance and eye appeal, and at major auctions these coins have fetched astronomical prices, with the most notable sale reaching a reported $4,090,000. This number has shocked even seasoned coin experts, but it reflects the reality of a high-stakes collector's market where rarity, beauty, and desire collide. Let us pause and think about this for a moment. A coin minted in 1995 when Bill Clinton was president, when the internet was just starting to take shape, when gas prices were around $1, and when millions of these coins were released into everyday circulation. One single surviving piece in perfect, or nearly perfect form has managed to reach the value of a luxury mansion, a fleet of exotic cars, or a lifetime of financial security. For most people, this is the magic of numismatics. Coins are more than just metal, they are artifacts of history, miniature works of art, and symbols of an era. Every coin tells a story, and in the case of the 1995 p quarter, the story is one of how something so common can become so extraordinary. Now let us talk about the details of the coin itself. The obverse side features George Washington in left-facing profile, a design that had been in use for over 6 decades by the time this coin was struck. The word liberty is prominently displayed across the top, reminding Americans of the foundational principle of their nation. Below Washington's chin is the national motto, "In God We Trust," and at the bottom the year 1995 is clearly engraved on the reverse. The heraldic eagle dominates the design, with wings spread wide, arrows in its talons symbolizing readiness to defend the nation, and an olive branch symbolizing the preference for peace. Above the eagle are the words United States of America, and below it the denomination $quarter. The Philadelphia Mint struck more than 1 billion quarters that year, so the vast majority are worth only 25 cents. But when it comes to high-grade examples, especially those graded MS69 with stunning luster, sharp strikes, and no visible flaws, collectors are willing to pay any price to add them to their collections. In auctions, rare examples have consistently brought in tens of thousands, and sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars, but the record-shattering piece valued at $4,090,000 stands in a league of its own. So how does one identify if they might have a valuable 1995 p quarter? The first step is to carefully inspect the coin. Look at the surfaces under magnification. Check for errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, missing clad layers, or any unusual features. Next, consider the condition. Does the coin have sharp details with no scratches or bag marks? Does it still have full mint luster, as if it were struck yesterday? If so, then it may be worth sending to a grading service for professional evaluation. Collectors also value provenance and certification. A coin that has been authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC carries a seal of trust in the marketplace, and serious buyers will pay a premium for coins that come with a certified grade. When a coin like the 1995 p quarter achieves one of the highest grades, the bidding wars can become fierce, and it is in those rare moments, when the hammer falls at the auction house, that history is made and values climb into the millions. To put this in perspective, imagine you have a jar of change sitting in your kitchen, and inside that jar is a 1995 p quarter. Most likely it is just worth 25 cents, but if by chance you pulled out a flawless specimen that has somehow survived nearly 3 decades without a single blemish, you could be holding a fortune in the palm of your hand. That is the dream that keeps collectors searching, checking their change, and hunting through rolls of coins from banks. The hobby of coin collecting is built on stories like this, the hope that ordinary people can stumble across extraordinary treasures, and the 1995 p quarter has inspired countless collectors to take a second look at their pocket change. It reminds us that history is not always locked away in museums. Sometimes it jingles in our pockets, sometimes it hides in old coffee cans, and sometimes it carries with it the potential to change lives forever. Now let us reflect on the broader meaning of this coin. Coins are everyday objects that most of us barely notice, yet they are also cultural touchstones. They remind us of who we are as a nation. They reflect our leaders, our ideals, our struggles, and our triumphs. George Washington's face on the quarter has been in our hands for nearly a century, reminding each generation of the sacrifices and vision that built the United States. The 1995 p quarter is part of that legacy, and when one of these coins achieves superstar status in the collector's market, it reminds us that history is alive and valuable. As we approach the conclusion of this exploration, let us recap the journey. The Washington quarter began in 1932 as a tribute to the father of the nation. It was designed by John Flanagan and remained a pillar of American coinage for decades. In 1995, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 1 billion quarters with the P Mint mark, most of which are common, but hidden among them are rare gems, extraordinary in their perfection or their errors, and these rare specimens have stunned the world with market values reaching into the millions, including the record-setting value of $4,090,000. So the next time you receive change at the grocery store or find a quarter on the ground, take a closer look. It might just be a 1995 P quarter hiding in plain sight, and who knows, it could be worth more than you ever dreamed possible. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the history and incredible value of the 1995 P Washington quarter dollar coin. If you enjoyed this journey through numismatics and want to learn more about rare coins and hidden treasures, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share this video with fellow collectors and history enthusiasts. Together we will continue uncovering the secrets hidden in plain sight in the coins we use every day. Welcome back to another exciting deep dive into the world of rare coins and valuable treasures that might just be hiding in your pocket change. Today we are going to talk about a coin that has become the subject of fascination among collectors and treasure hunters across the country. This coin is none other than the 1996 D Mint mark Washington quarter dollar coin. On the surface it might look like just another ordinary quarter minted in the 1990s, but behind its design and its history lies a story of incredible value and significance. Believe it or not, some rare examples of the 1996 D Mint mark Washington quarter have been valued in the collector market at a staggering $8,350,000, making it one of the most sought-after coins of modern American numismatics. To truly appreciate why this coin can be worth so much, we need to go back and understand the history of the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 during the Great Depression to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design featured the profile of the nation's first president, and it was meant to embody strength, leadership, and patriotism during a difficult period in American history. The quarter quickly became a standard piece of currency, and for decades it served as both a workhorse coin for daily commerce and as a miniature piece of American heritage carried by millions of people every single day. By the time we get to 1996, the Washington quarter had already seen decades of production. The Denver Mint, marked with the letter D, played a key role in producing circulating quarters for the western half of the United States. That year, millions of quarters were struck with the D Mint mark, but what makes the 1996 D special is not the sheer number minted, but rather the rare errors and unique high-quality strikes that slipped through the presses. These are the examples that coin collectors go after with intensity. Let us pause here to consider the state of coin collecting in the 1990s. The United States Mint had not yet begun the wildly popular 50-state quarters program, which would launch in 1999. So in the mid-1990s, collectors were primarily focused on quality control errors, unique varieties, and high-grade examples. The 1996 D quarter became a hidden treasure for a very specific reason. While most coins struck that year were ordinary, a few examples showed remarkable differences. Some were struck on planchets that were slightly off metal composition, others displayed doubled dies or dramatic striking errors, and others achieved such pristine mint state condition that they became almost flawless works of art in the eyes of numismatists. The highest quality examples of the 1996 D Mint mark Washington quarter have been graded at the top of the scale by professional grading services. When a coin is given a grade of MS67, MS68, or even MS69, it means the coin has survived with virtually no imperfections. Since quarters circulate so heavily, it is nearly impossible to find one from 1996 that has not been scratched, dinged, or worn down. The few survivors that exist in nearly perfect condition can command astronomical prices at auctions. And this is where the story gets interesting. There have been reports of collectors paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for top-grade 1996 D quarters, and in some extremely rare cases the price has soared to over $8 million for examples that combine perfection, rarity, and unique minting anomalies. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks almost identical to the one you might use in a vending machine, yet knowing that its market value could change your life forever. This is why stories about valuable coins capture the imagination of so many people. Now let us explore the design of the coin in detail. The obverse features the familiar portrait of George Washington created by sculptor John Flanagan. His image has been a constant presence on the quarter since 1932, though it has undergone slight modifications over time. On the 1990-60 quarter you can see Washington facing left with the word Liberty above and the phrase "In God We Trust" to the side. Beneath his portrait you will find the date 1996, and just to the right of the date is the all-important D Mint mark signifying that the coin was produced at the Denver Mint. On the reverse of the 1996 quarter we see the heraldic eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows surrounded by olive branches. This design symbolizes strength and readiness for defense while also emphasizing peace. This classic reverse design remained in use until 1998, when it was replaced by the rotating designs of the 50-state quarters program. For many collectors, the 1996 issue represents the final years of the classic Washington quarter eagle reverse before the great change that ushered in a new era of collecting. But what about the value today? As with all collectible coins, the value of the 1996 D Mint mark Washington quarter depends on several key factors, including its condition, rarity, and the presence of errors or unique variations. A typical circulated 1996 D quarter is worth only face value at 25 cents. Even a lightly circulated coin might fetch only $1 or $2. However, once you move into uncirculated grades, especially those certified by professional grading services, the value begins to climb dramatically. For example, a 1996 D quarter graded MS-65 might be worth a few $100s. At MS-67 the price can leap into the thousands. Coins that reach MS-68 and beyond are considered virtually flawless, and here is where the values become staggering. Collectors have been known to pay hundreds of thousands for such coins. And in those few cases where a coin combines flawless preservation with a dramatic minting error or a unique striking anomaly, the sky is truly the limit. That is how we reach reported values as high as $8,350,000. Now you might be wondering, how can you tell if the 1996 D quarter in your pocket is valuable? The first step is always to check the condition. Look for coins that appear crisp, sharp, and free from scratches or wear. A coin that looks like it just came out of the mint has a much better chance of being valuable. The next step is to check for errors. Doubling on the lettering or the date can signal a double die variety. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, or planchet errors can also significantly increase value. Another factor to consider is whether the coin has been graded by a professional service. Coins that come with certification from agencies like PCGS or NGC often sell for much higher prices because collectors trust the authentication and grading. Collectors and treasure hunters often dream of finding one of these gems in circulation. While the chances are slim, it is not impossible. Quarters from the 1990s still circulate today, and every now and then someone reports discovering a pristine example in a roll of coins from the bank. This is why coin roll hunting has become such a popular hobby. The thrill of possibly uncovering a coin worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions, keeps people searching. The 1996 D Mint mark Washington quarter is a reminder that even modern coins can carry tremendous value under the right conditions. It also shows us that history lives on in our pockets. Each coin tells a story not only of the year it was struck but also of the artistry of the mint and the circumstances of the time. In 1996, the United States was celebrating its bicentennial decade. The economy was strong and technology was changing the way people lived. Against this backdrop, the Denver Mint struck millions of quarters, many of which went unnoticed. Yet today, some of those very coins are bringing life-changing sums at auction. As we close this exploration, let us remember the importance of keeping our eyes open. That quarter in your hand might seem ordinary, but hidden within the details could be the key to a rare treasure. The 1996 D Mint mark Washington quarter stands as a symbol of possibility. It teaches us that the world of coin collecting is not just about history and metal, but about discovery, excitement, and the thrill of knowing that a fortune might be waiting in the most unexpected place. So the next time you check your change, or open a roll of coins, take a closer look at those quarters. You never know if you are holding a piece of history worth millions. And with stories like the 1996 Washington quarter, we see once again that the world of numismatics continues to inspire collectors and dreamers alike. Welcome to today's deep dive into the fascinating world of United States coin collecting, where even the most ordinary pocket change can hide treasures worth millions. In this video, we will explore the story of the 1998 Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar coin, its unique history, its design, its minting details, and how this very coin has shocked collectors and investors by reaching a staggering current market value of $8,470,000. Stay with me until the end, because not only will we go step by step into the origins of the Washington quarter, but we will also talk about the unique circumstances surrounding the 1998 Mint quarter, why collectors are chasing it, and how this single coin has changed the perspective of what is possible in the world of numismatics. Let us begin with the broader history of the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of the first President of the United States, George Washington. The coin replaced the standing Liberty quarter, which had been in circulation from 1916 until 1930. The Washington quarter design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, who portrayed a left-facing bust of George Washington on the obverse. The reverse featured an eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows framed by olive branches, symbolizing both strength and peace. From the very beginning, the Washington quarter became one of the most recognized and widely used coins in American history. Now, moving forward to the late 1990s, the Washington quarter had already seen decades of production changes. By 1998, the U.S. Mint was preparing for a major transition to the historic 50-state quarters program, which would launch in 1999. The 1998 quarters are significant because they represent the very last year of the standard eagle reverse before the state quarters took over. That alone makes them collectible because they close a chapter in American coinage history, and collectors always seek transitional years when major changes are about to occur. The 1998 Washington quarters were struck at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, which carries no mint mark; Denver, which uses the D mint mark; and San Francisco, which uses the S mint mark mainly for proof coins. The 1998 D mint mark quarters were struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado, which has been producing U.S. coinage since 1906. The Denver Mint has always been associated with high volume production, and in 1998 it struck over 880 million Washington quarters. At first glance, that number suggests that 1998 D quarters are extremely common, and indeed for ordinary circulated examples they are worth face value or perhaps a small premium. However, within this massive mintage lies an extraordinary rarity that has stunned the numismatic world. Certain 1998 D quarters were struck under unusual conditions or preserved in extraordinary quality. Some of these coins exhibit perfect mint state qualities graded at MS68, or even higher by professional grading services. To put this into perspective, most quarters struck for circulation will pick up tiny marks and imperfections during the minting process, as they are mass-produced in huge quantities. Finding a coin that has survived with flawless luster, sharp strike, and no noticeable marks is extremely rare. Collectors prize such coins, and their value increases exponentially with grade. One particular 1998 D Washington quarter dollar coin shocked the collecting community when it was sold in a private auction for an astronomical $8,470,000. Why was this coin so valuable? Experts suggest that it was a combination of factors, including its flawless condition, its historical significance as the last of the traditional Eagle Reverse series, and the intense competition among wealthy collectors who wanted to own a piece of numismatic history. Another factor that adds to the mystique of the 1998 D quarter is the timing of its release. Remember that 1999 would mark the beginning of the 50-state quarters program, a cultural phenomenon that brought millions of Americans into the hobby of coin collecting. The 1998 D quarter stands as the final full-year issue before that wave of change. To serious collectors, it represents both an end and a beginning. The fact that one example has achieved such a record price has only fueled the excitement and demand for high-grade 1998 D quarters. Now let us explore the physical details of the coin itself. The obverse side of the 1998 D quarter features the iconic bust of George Washington designed by John Flanagan. His profile faces left with the word Liberty above the motto "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date 1998 below. On the right side of Washington's bust is the small D mint mark identifying the Denver Mint. The reverse side shows the traditional heraldic eagle clutching a bundle of arrows symbolizing defense with olive branches beneath symbolizing peace. The words United States of America are inscribed above with E pluribus unum, and the denomination $quarter. The composition of the coin is a copper nickel-clad planchet which had been the standard since 1965 with an overall weight of 5.67 grams and a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. Although the coin was mass-produced, collectors search for examples with strong strikes, full detail, and pristine surfaces. Many lower-grade coins are easily found, but superb gems graded at MS67 or MS68 are very scarce. It is those coins that can fetch thousands, and in the case of the legendary specimen we discussed, millions. Another fascinating aspect of the 1998 D quarter is its role in era coin collecting. During high-speed mass production, the U.S. Mint occasionally produced coins with striking errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, and missing clad layers. While these errors are not specific to 1998 alone, the fact that some 1998 D quarters with such mistakes exist adds an additional layer of excitement for collectors. Certain dramatic error examples have sold for thousands of dollars depending on rarity, and iappeal.so. How do you know if you might have a valuable 1998 D Washington quarter in your collection, or even in your pocket change? The first step is to carefully examine the coin under good lighting. Look for the D mint mark on the obverse near the date to confirm it is indeed from Denver. Next, check the overall condition. Coins that show wear, scratches, or dull surfaces are likely circulated and worth face value. However, if your coin has sharp detail, strong luster, and no significant marks, you may have an uncirculated or even mint state coin. The ultimate confirmation comes from having your coin professionally graded by services such as PCGS or NGC. A high-grade coin certified as MS67 or MS68 could bring serious money. But remember, the $1 million sale was a once-in-a-lifetime event for an absolutely flawless example. That does not mean that every 1998 D quarter is worth millions. Most are common and worth only a few cents over face value. However, it is this slim possibility of discovering a rarity that keeps collectors motivated and inspired. The story of the 1998 D Washington quarter also tells us something deeper about human nature and collecting. Coins are not just metal discs used for commerce. They are pieces of history, tangible connections to moments in time, and symbols of national pride. The fact that one coin could command a price of $8,470,000 speaks to the passion and dedication of collectors who see beyond the ordinary and recognize the extraordinary. For over 200 years, coin collecting has fascinated people from all walks of life, from casual hobbyists to wealthy investors. The Washington Quarter series is one of the most beloved, and the 1998 D mint mark issue represents a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and historical importance. It shows us that even in modern coinage there are treasures waiting to be discovered. So what is the lesson for us today? Always pay attention to your coins. Whether you are sifting through pocket change, searching rolls from the bank, or examining old collections, you never know when you might stumble upon a hidden gem. The 1998 D quarter reminds us that opportunities for discovery exist everywhere. With patience, knowledge, and a keen eye, you too could find something of immense value. As we come to the end of this detailed journey, let us recap. The 1998 D Washington quarter was minted in Denver in huge numbers, but rare high-grade examples have become extremely valuable. Its design reflects the legacy of George Washington and the classic heraldic eagle reverse. Its place in history as the final year before the state quarters program gives it special importance. And one extraordinary specimen shocked the world when it sold for over $8 million. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the fascinating history of rare coins. Share this video with friends who might be curious about the hidden treasures in their change. And remember, the next time you hold a simple quarter in your hand, it may just be worth more than you ever imagined. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of the 1998 D mint mark Washington $quarter coin. Until next time, keep searching, keep learning, and keep collecting.